Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I can't do this. Welcome back, my fellow duplicates, to Oxygen Not Included. Today is the megabase challenge. I don't know why that was so ridiculous. We're melting. We're dying. We're overheating. It's horrible. No, the plastic system down here that we made last time here in the megabase challenge is melting down and it's turning into naphtha right there. So that is not what I want. So we got to cool that down. So you know how we're going to cool that down. There was many different recommendations that you guys gave up. Most of them all revolved around the idea of putting them over here in the cold biome. But I want to put my food over here in the cold biome. But what I do have is Wheezeworts, and I have 3 of them. I don't have a lot, but I have 3, which is more than none. And there's a chance I could dig around the map and look for some others and potentially find some more at some point. But remember way back in an earlier video of a cooling loop system? Yeah, that's right. There's an idea that was floating around, and actually you guys had lots of them, of having this square thing. So you have like Wheezeworts on this side, and it goes around a volume of liquid, and then it transfers the heat energy that you have inside of this liquid into what is essentially hydrogen, and that is cooled by the Wheezeworts. So that it's all very effective. And that's what I'm going to try to make tonight, and we'll see if this works. So what we have down here is we have some crude oil, specific heat capacity of 1.69, so that's pretty good. Thermal conductivity of 2. Now compared to what else do we have? We have water. It has a much higher specific heat capacity. However, its thermal conductivity is quite a bit lower. If we take a look at this naphtha right here, its thermal conductivity is quite low, 0.2, not good. Decent capacity, but not good. What about some of this liquid that's inside of here? Let me go ahead and kick some petroleum out and just see what we get. Okay, so petroleum is a little bit better because it has just a slightly higher specific heat capacity than crude oil, but it has the same thermal conductivity, which is probably the placeholder of 2. So you can see that right there. So if I wanted to be real fancy about this, I guess I could use petroleum and store it inside of a tank and then cool that and use that as my loop. However, I think for the sake of volume, oil is going to be the better option there. So that's what I'll use. Let's mop this up. But one of the other things that I can do here, and I think is probably a good idea, is to separate the polymer presses from the rest of this stuff, right? So this is power generation. It's my power generation station, and these polymer presses should probably be off on their own. And there's a good chance, you see where this plastic is dropping right here? I'm wondering where this plastic drops if this tile is not there. Will that plastic drop off the edge, or will it stay right here? Because if it drops off the edge, then I can set all of these up vertically and just kind of liquid cool each one separately and drop the plastic off to one side, which might even be possible anyhow if this is like a mesh tile or whatever. So that could keep it from getting warm. But I want to make that cooling loop mainly for the idea that I could just take that heat energy out of here. Boom. So that's what I'm going to do. So you know what? That's worth an experiment. So let's just deconstruct this tile real quick. We can disable the rest of these buildings. We don't need them anymore. Or we do need them, but we just don't need them right now. Okay, so I want to see where the plastic drops. I bet you it ends up right here, and it doesn't fall off to the edge. But if it does, that would be pretty awesome. Here we go. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Come on. Ah! What? It drops. It's like a coin that's just standing on edge. It's neither heads nor tails. It's just right in the middle. So while that was all very interesting, let's get on to the nice cooling loop that I can make. I think right down here is going to be a good spot because it's, close to my base. I can use it up there if I need to. I could also use it down here if I need to. You know what? Right here looks perfect. Now, one of the things that was actually asked in one of my last videos here was how to build a vacuum. Now you can actually build a vacuum, or you should be able to build a vacuum, without actually using like an air pump just to pump all the gas out. A couple of ways you can do that is you can flood things with a liquid and then pump the liquid out, or you can also flood the bottom and then just dig inside of a vacuum, especially since we have exosuits. So that's what I'm going to try to do right here, because this is going to become the cooling loop. So to make this work, all I need is liquid right down here. I'm also going to need a power source that's going to let me turn things on and off based on their temperature or how much liquid I have. So I need a hydro switch. I also need a thermal switch, so I'll use wolframite for that. And one of the reasons I'm going to have a thermal switch inside of here is because I want to surround this with plastic. Why? Because plastic has a very high thermal conductivity, so I shouldn't need to have a bunch of wire bridges or anything. We could just surround this by plastic. That'll take care of all that heat transfer, and it'll also be a little bit more fancy. And look at that, I have enough. Nice! Now when it comes to moving gases around, you really want to always have at least 2 tiles wide. 1 tile does work, but it seems to work better with just 2 tiles. So we will plan this one out so that there is a continuous, 2 tiles right here, there, and everywhere in order to make this flow nicely. And since the Wheezeworts actually pump gas up, essentially, from wherever they are, that's kind of how the mechanic works, they will hopefully just pump this around, and make it work perfect. I'm being fancy with these tiles too. I don't need to have this type of tile, but I'm out. Okay, so to make this as a vacuum, well, actually, I don't need to make this as a vacuum because it already has the gas I want inside of it. Hydrogen. The only place that needs to be a vacuum is inside of here. But even if it is actually hydrogen inside of there, that really won't make a big difference. So the first step I'm going to do is make a bottle emptier right there. And then I'll flood this down here with the liquid I want, which is going to be oil. So that oil should create a little bit of a barrier. Now if I pump that, or if I pump enough oil into this space to where it's like 2 tiles tall, or however I want to work a little bit of a water lock here, I should be able to get over here and work on this inside of a vacuum. Now there was a comment earlier about using ladders as a method for creating dig patterns. That was actually a really good comment. I wonder if I could find it. Mentioned here, want to clear out an area? Use a horizontal row of ladders. You can mine 4 tiles above and 3 tiles below. So that's actually really quite efficient when you start to think about that. So mining a row every 8 tiles for large areas. So that's pretty awesome. They also cost half the materials of tiles, so it makes it quite a bit more efficient. The other thing is it's also a lot less annoying than trying to build a base, or build a pattern where they can continuously move around like we saw down here. I mean, that's just really annoying to do, like, the ladderless method, which is not quite that. Maybe? I can't quite remember, but that's such a pain in the butt to actually do that one, so that's a much better idea. I like that, so I think I'll use ladders to clear the area from now on. You know what? Just to make this go a little bit faster, I'm going to make a storage compactor here, and then I'll just put abyssalite right inside of that, so I can store all of that, and they don't have to run all over the place. So there we go. Make that a decent priority. People will deliver to it, and that'll be good to go. So the idea now is that we can flood this whole area here. Gosh, once you get enough crude oil, that you could then start digging up, and this will be a vacuum. So while that's working, or people are delivering, let's go ahead and build the rest of this again. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to want to do is dig down here so I can get to some more Wheezeworts. Oh, is there any other cold biomes around here? Gosh. Aha! There's one way over here. So on the far right of my map, there's another cold biome, so I could get a few more Wheezeworts if I really wanted to. Daniel here has an idea for the exosuits that's even more ridiculous. Right, have an idea, give each duplicant 2 exosuits. The idea is that when they come back into their apartment, they take off their exosuit that they use outside of the base and put on their exosuit that they use inside of their little apartment. That way, they are always inside of an exosuit, even when they're sleeping. So, with that in mind, you would not need any oxygen inside of your base. You would just need to provide oxygen to the exosuits. The other thing you guys are mentioning as far as like the repair tasks here, there must have taken some damage, and the repair task is assigned to a duplicant that cannot go through that door. At least that's what it seems like the problem is. Okay, so hopefully I can get some of this liquid here to spread out, and then I can start building my way up. Come on, flow. Flow. You want to flow over here. You really do. Okay, so while we're waiting for all of that to happen, let's go ahead and uproot these Wheezeworts. And we might as well start our exploration dig over here to see what kind of cold biome awaits us. We'll do it with a ladder because we're going to dig like crazy. So I should be able to dig 3 down and 4 up. We'll see if I can dig all of this out. If so, that's, well, I mean, that's a lot. I'm just going to use some of the gas that's right here. You know, this is all hydrogen anyhow, and we're just going to pump it in there. No need to be all fancy about it. Boom, just like that. I'll also need a liquid pump down here so that that can pump up into this place. Alright, so what do I have over here? Just ice. I don't see any Wheezeworts yet. And there's that neutronium. Yeah, this is working, just like that. Hey, that works really good. So if all you want to do is clear a lot of area, that's what you do. You just make a little ladder, take care of it. See, now this is just mean. Why is there oxygen right there? There shouldn't be oxygen right there. How did that look? How'd you even do that, Oil? All right, forget it. I'm done messing around, all right? We're gonna build tiles right there. Take care of it. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier. Boom, problem solved. Okay, I don't want to make this plastic tile just yet. I do want to make these quite soon. What is the temperature? 72 degrees, and that melts at 76. We're okay. But you see what happened here? It's a vacuum. And Frankenbeep, oh no, he's entombed. Help him. Oh, but you know what? Even though he's entombed, check this out. He's not suffocating like you normally would. Another reason to have exosuits. Is he becoming stressed? Nah, no stress. So another thing you should be aware of is that if this were sand up here, it would drop down and completely ruin my whole idea of trying to keep this a vacuum. Even though this being a vacuum inside of here has no real purpose, because I should have hydrogen inside of there to fill up the space between the liquid and the top of this so that I can still maintain thermal conductivity through that. But, you know, it's the idea that counts. So just in case you had any doubt of the thermal conductivity of plastic, here it is. 913! That's ridiculous. Look at that. So one of the other questions, and this is a question that's come up a few times. This one was from this Crimson Bane here, but the question is, would I consider doing a Patreon? And the thing is, I don't really have time to give back what at the level that I think I would require if I was to do a Patreon. However, it definitely is an option at some point. That's in a direct response to some of those affiliate links I've been dropping down there in the little section down there below. And that's simply because I'm exploring some options as far as different ways to make revenue on the channel if I wanted to potentially take YouTube a little bit more serious, beyond this hobby thing that it is right now. So that is in some direct response right there to at least some things that we were doing right there. So my answer is currently no, I'm not going to do a Patreon. However, I think there's some ideas, and I would actually like to hear some ideas of potential, some of those rewards or whatever that you could have for Patreon. Like, I'm not exactly sure what all to do for Patreon to even begin with. Like, I don't have great examples. Some people have some stuff, but anyhow, hopefully that answers your question. I know it's popped up a few times here and there, so there you have it. I wonder how strong a plastic tile is. I wonder if it'll have any issues with the amount of pressure I'm putting on this. I don't know. I've tested all kinds of different tiles, but not plastic tile. You know, chances are it's going to be too weak. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this out one more tile set here. Now I don't need to do that up here at the top because it should be all right. But everywhere down below, I'll want to double it up. So talking about some other things I would like to share on the channel, you know, besides Oxygen Not Included, there's obviously the other games that you guys were talking about that you would like me to share, and if I get the time, it would be absolutely awesome to go over that. But one of the other things that I have been exploring and working with for a little while here is like 3D printers and stuff like that. So one of the recent projects I had was making my own 3D printer. Now, I'm just getting to the point where it might start moving, but I've got some great ideas to actually make another one that's going to be way simpler, and I think it'll be a great project at some point to possibly share with you guys. But this is one of the little projects I had on the side, which is this little speaker box thing. Because I was curious about like how speaker boxes are designed, the wave forms and all that stuff that runs through them, and how to actually make the box correctly, thinking that that would be a cool thing to 3D print at some point. I pretty much gave up. Well, I didn't give up, shall I say. I decided to make something just for the sake of it to start off with that looked cool. So this thing right here would actually go behind my desk and mount off the wall, and then work from there to actually improve it and make it more acoustically appropriate to see, you know, where I start to where I go, sort of thing. So this is like a small prototype of it, and I printed it in green so you can't so you can't see anything. Isn't this cool? Isn't this the best print you've ever seen? I didn't even think about that. Anyhow, there's all sorts of awesome things that we can think of in 3D print, different projects, and doing the build logs for that. So that was one idea, because I think that kind of fits in with the experiments and whatnot that we do here. Maybe, maybe not. But that would also be another sort of thing, you know, potentially you could share the files or whatever on Patreon sort of thing. I don't know. Just thinking of different ideas, guys. Let's get this thing up and running. It's taking a little longer than I thought it would, but that's every single project that I ever do here inside of Oxygen Not Included. All right, so we're getting close now. Let's go ahead and bring in both the Wheezewort and also pump a little bit of that oil inside of this area here, and hopefully things don't explode. Enable it. If it's gonna go bad, it's gonna go bad quickly, and I probably won't have enough plastic to repair it fast enough, and it'll end up all bad. One of the other benefits of using crude oil is just how dense it is. We can put a lot of crude oil into a space. So when this goes to pump up and actually move its liquid through the pipes, we can fill up a lot of pipe with the volume that we have inside of here. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. I tell you what, how many times am I going to have to uproot this? Poor plants, they just keep regrowing. They get uprooted and they have to plant themselves all over again. This needs to be disabled. We just filled this entire area with crude oil. Don't let it overpressurize. Okay, good. No more. You know what? Boom. I don't need hydrogen in there. The whole thing's crude oil. This actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would. Ha! Almost like I planned it that way. I didn't though. Alright, so here we go. Now the Wheezewort's moving, and you can see the gas is starting to flow around here. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. And I got rid of that ladder just in time to where I don't think I can do anything. Crap. Why'd I do that? I'm able to condense enough hydrogen into this space that I'm pushing out any of the oxygen that's finding its way in here. Haha. I was thinking I'm gonna have to put a pump in here, put a filter, make all that work. No. Look at the temperature of this crude oil. It's gone down to 47.9 degrees. I didn't see where it was to begin with, but I felt like it was closer to 50 something, like 57 at some point. But I think we could see that it's starting to cool down a little bit. Okay, so since I wasn't able to find another Wheezewort, I'm gonna get rid of this one right here, since that goes to a cooling loop as it is. The body temperature up here is actually causing some problems. So I'm gonna leave those two alone. And we'll put the next one down here. Okay. What do you mean no seed available? No, did the hatch eat my seed? I don't think he ate my seed. There's no coal here. That dude must have ate my seed. What a punk. That sucks. That or it dropped somewhere where I can't get to it. Maybe it's down there. Huh? Yeah, no? I feel like it was being delivered, but then they like dropped it or something. Like, what is that right there? Like, what is that? Do you know what that is? That's a Wheezewort seed. See, I knew it. These duplicants, I tell you what, they give me such a hard time. I don't know what to do with these guys. One day I'm gonna let you suffocate. Just remember that. Alright, so we can see this in action already. Look at this crude oil. It's at 38.4 degrees Celsius. So it's continuing to get nice and cold and colder and colder. And you can see the temperature here as it's kind of flowing around. And just how well those plastic tiles are transferring that thermal energy, you know, from here to there and making all of that work. It's really quite impressive. I might leave this tile open. It seems like a little bit of the wrong gas has gotten in there, but you know what? I'm not worried about it. Let's just close it off and then clean this up. I think that was pretty successful right there. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this high pressure gas vent. There might be a situation where I want to pump in a little bit more hydrogen into this space because it's at 1.2 kilograms up top, but it's around 400 grams down there on the bottom. So I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference, but there is room for, I guess, a little bit of improvement there. All right, well, that's a wrap. I think this will work really good. Next time we're going to have to plug this into something and just see, you know, how much we can actually cool things down. There's a lot of thermal mass here, and this thing continues to run cycle after cycle. Doesn't cost me any energy. It's just going to keep getting colder. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you again next time. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.